Hello, good evening, everyone. Hello, good evening, everyone. Am I audible to you? Yes, everyone. Am I audible to you? Yes, good evening, Ashwini. Yes, everyone, good evening. Yes, without asking the question, you are giving the answers. So, right now, how much am I predictable to all of you? Yes, I'm loud and clear. Thank you for telling me today. Yes, those who are new here, let me introduce myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Harshvardhan Singh, and on this platform, I am going to teach you all the aspects of history, including history optional. Along with that, I am currently conducting the lectures of international relations and world history. I am having 8-year experience in the field of civil services as an educator. Earlier, I was selected as an intelligence bureau officer, and these are our top educators. Those who miss their lecture, I request you to just watch it and learn from them. Those who haven't taken subscription of Unacademy, please take subscription of Unacademy. You will get more benefits of it. And whenever you want to get the subscription, please use my code. This is my code. Harshv10 is my code, and you will get the 10% discount. Along with that, we have option of 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, and 12 month. I insist you to have a subscription, yearly subscription. Along with that, we have both the option plus as well as iconic, and I insist you to take the iconic subscription so that you will get all the aspects of guidance, including personal feedback. Clear? So this is my code. This is my code. Harshv10 is my code. You will get 10% discount as well as you are going to count as my student. Okay. Keshav, you said please speak in Hindi. Actually, you know that this is a platform UPSC CSE English. Yes, so I have to speak in English. I know some of you feel quite uncomfortable in that, but still I have to. Yes, this is a UPSC combat and you know all these things as you get the message of all of it. Okay, yes, Anagha, Bhanupriya, Ashwini, very good evening to all of you. Yes, so shall we start? Yes, everyone, shall we start the lecture? Okay. So this is the map of USA. As some of you quite aware of the USA, we learn Indo-US or USA in American Freedom Struggle. Yes, Achintya system got hanged. That's why joined it. It's okay. Okay, so this is the map of USA. How many states are there in USA? Yes, everyone. How many states are there? Raju, yes. Achintya had not come back to 6th December. Okay. Yes, everyone. How many states are there in United States of America? Do you have any idea? A general question. It's not compulsory. And one more thing. Indo-US relationship we are going to discuss in the two parts. First part we are going to discuss right now, and on Unacademy app we are going to discuss the second part of it. Clear? On this, in the second part we are going to discuss the trade, defense, and other important aspects. Today we are going to discuss the background, present situation, present issues, Yes, so we are going to discuss in that. Clear, everyone? Yes. So how many states are there? Okay, Keshav said 50 states are there. Anyone else? Yes. Anyone else? Yes, only one candidate knew this thing. What about the rest? And yes, one more thing, maybe some of you might face inconvenience while I'm writing the things. And why it is so? Because somehow I lost my this the pen tab pen, the styler, and that's why you may face the problem. And I'm really sorry for inconvenience. So yes, so how many states? Sorry, how many states are there in United States? As only candidate said 50. What about the rest? Don't you know this thing? Or you don't want to tell? Yes, Sanaga said 50 states. Okay. So, what do you think? All the 50 states are in the mainland, or it is divided into other part as well? Yes, I agree. I agree. Thank you. Thank you for telling me this thing. So, what do you think? How many states are there in mainland? And is there any other states? Yes, is there any other state other than this mainland? Yes, yes, I ask you this thing. One reason is that, and you know that I'm having this hobby of asking the question, and whenever I ask the question, it is have some purpose. It is not a baseless question. You will get the reference in later. Yes, do you know that other than these mainland states, there are few states present? Do you know the name of these? Yes, everyone? Yes, these are the 50 states. But do you know that there are other states as well, which is different than the mainland? Yes, anybody? Anagha, Keshav, Ashwini, Achintya, Bhanupriya. Yes, Kalpesh, hello. You also joined. Very good. Alaska. Kalpesh said Alaska. Yes, exactly. Exactly, Anaga, Alaska. 48 in mainland, 49 is Alaska, and 50 is Hawaii. Yes, here you get the reference of it. Exactly, Ashwini. Here you get the reference Hawaii and Alaska. Yes, so there are 48 plus 2. Yes, Kalpesh, yes, exactly. So these are the Hawaii Island, which is far away from the mainland of USA, and Alaska. It is just beside Canada. Clear? And some of you may know the history, but those most of you don't have this idea that Russia gifted Alaska to America. Yes, Rockstar, good evening. Clear? So 48 in mainland and 2 in the other places. One is Alaska, second is Hawaii. So if you carefully watch this map, you will get to know that these states are basically having artificial borders, just like this. Don't you think it is a kind of rectangle? Yes. Do you really think so? Indian states are having such diagram? Of course not, because Indian states are having geographical borders. These are artificial borders, and these made for administrative convenience, because it is means India is ancient, having ancient civilization. We developed ourselves with the time. They developed with their own convenience after their independence. Clear? So they decide and design the states for their administrative convenience. Clear? So these are the artificial borders. Clear? So it is just a generalized point I mentioned with you. Okay. So do you have any idea related to USA or US relation with the neighboring states? Yes. Do you have any idea? Everyone? Yes. Basic question. Then we are going to discuss Indo-USA and all. So, do you have any idea USA and neighbors? Yes, I know it's inconveniencing thing for you, and I'm really sorry for that once again because I somehow lost the silence. Yes, everyone. So, do you have any idea that how USA is having relationship with their neighboring states? For example, here is a Mexico. Yes, here is a Cuba. Here is a Canada. Do you know the relationship between USA and these states? Whether the relation is cordial in nature, whether the relation is of enmity, or whether the relationship is of neutrality. Yes, everyone. What do you think? As you know, USA is a superpower in the world. USA is a strong economy. USA is having strong military. So, what do you think? What is the relationship of USA with these neighboring states? I gave you the option. So if you know it, just let me know. If you don't know, it's okay. You can guess. Anaga said US and Cuba had a bad relation. Okay. Ashwini said neutrality. Neutrality with whom? Neutrality with whom? Yes, Anaga, I agree with you that USA and Cuba had a bad relations for long. But does they have a bad relation right now? Achintya, trade. It's okay. Trade is a word. What do you want to say? My question is very basic. Do you have any idea? The question, please listen it carefully. I am repeating the question for you. Do you have any idea how US relationship with the other neighboring state? How is their relationship with the neighboring state? Like Canada, like Cuba, like Mexico. Yes, Kalpesh. Kalpesh, what Kalpesh said? No, 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 yes. Is it easy for you to go from USA to Canada? Yes, Anaga, exactly. Now the relationship between USA and Cuba is restored. Yes, of course, after a long time. After Cuban Revolution in recent time, USA and Cuba both changed their attitude and now they are having a normal relationship. Rockstar, what Rockstar said, I think with the Mexico US did not have very good relationship. Okay. Have you heard about when their what we can say ex or present? I'm a little bit confused. I can exactly tell means say the name of the person instead of the president. You know that Trump, when he in 2014 or 15, there was an election in USA. At that time, he used to say he wants to build a wall on the border of Mexico so that Mexican cannot be entered into USA. He considered it as illegal and all. So why anybody wants to build a wall? Of course, it's suggestive that they don't have a cordial relationship. Yes, with the Canada it's neutral, with the Mexico it is somewhat complex. Yes, yes, exactly. With the Mexico they do not have a good relation. With the Canada they are having cordial relation, not neutral. They are having cordial relationship. Means as I ask you the same thing, if you want to go from USA to Canada, it is very easy because of cordial relationship. Yes, Mexico somehow not good. Cuba, it is restoring their relationship. Cuba is restoring and US is restoring their relationship with each other. Clear? Yes, one more question, a very small question, and then we are going to start the exact thing. What do you think? What's the relationship between USA and Latin American countries? Yes, what do you think? What's the relationship of USA with the Latin American countries? Yes, any idea? Any guess? How is their relationship? It's good, it's bad, don't know, not having any idea, anything? Yes, everyone. What do you think? How is the relationship between USA and Latin American countries? Is it so difficult to answer as you all are going to be bureaucrat? People are going to consider, actually not going, people are considering you as a enlightened person. Kalpesh said don't know, Anaga said don't know. Latin America is the largest supplier of oil to USA. Seriously? Are you serious? Yes, Farooq, you joined. Good. Farooq said that pre-Latin American economic crisis it was very cordial, but recent year, other than Brazil, relation is sour. Ashwini said Latin America is the largest supplier of oil. Which oil? You are talking about crude oil or you are talking about? Yes, you're talking about crude oil or you're talking about the edible oil. Yes, for some ideological conflicts like Venezuela having socialist inclination. It's not socialist, it's communist. Yes, so for your anybody else, anybody wants to say something? Yes, everyone? Anyone? Okay, let me answer. It's very simple. As those who attended the World History lecture, they had some little information when we discussed the neo-colonization. In the neo-colonization, I mentioned that America played an important role. In neo-colonization, America actually forced these countries to act as their colonies in the words of new colonialism. Means America exploited these Latin American countries economically. There are various tools for exploitation, and because of that reason, these countries became the poor, and that's why their relationship with the USA was and is not that much good, because they considered USA as an exploiter. Clear? And after some time, after the time means after Russian Revolution, the communism and all, these Latin American countries are influenced by the idea of communism. And you know that during the Cold War era, it was a problem between communism and capitalism. So such trends are still going on in the Latin America. So the relationship between Latin American countries and America is not that much good. They are not worst as well. They are not that much good. Latin American countries kept safe distance from America. Yes, Farooq, it's okay. Dumping grounds for US goods. Yes, is that clear to all of you? Yes, everyone? Is that clear? Clear? Next thing. Now, Indo-US bilateral relation. First, we are going to discuss the background. Both the countries are democratic. Yes, both the countries are democratic in nature. But do you really think so? India and American relation means India-US relation. Since beginning, it's cordial. And since independence of India, our relationship with the USA was very cordial. Do you remember that our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, what he said about USA, or whether he said that my friend is a US Prime Minister, President, whether he said something like that? Yes. Do you know when Nehru, when he first time visited America, what he said? He said it in very simple words. We cannot rely on USA. Why? Because USA follow what we can say real polity. USA cannot be considered as a friend. USA cannot be considered as a friend. So we cannot rely on them. So it was a kind of statement made by Nehru when he first time visited USA, and he realizes the exact political nature of USA at that. So what do you think? Why it was so? As you know that India after independence became a democratic state, a largest democracy. USA, oldest democracy in the world. Then what's the problem between USA and India? Why they don't have a cordial relationship for a long time? Why USA didn't supported us? Why India is not supporting USA? What do you think? So as we mentioned in this first point, here is the first point. What we mentioned that Indo-US relationship displayed the curve of ups and downs. Means basically our graph is like this. Yes. So first point itself suggests that India-USA relationship is based on ups and downs. Clear? Rockstar what said recently in Venezuelan election, USA had shown its dissatisfaction about the result. They supported the it's okay. America's first policy. That signifies that there have been really active with neighbors with its yes, yes. Yes, I agree with you. Post independence we followed NAM and acted as a bias towards US, as Farooq said. So, do you get it? Our relationship with USA is having ups and downs. So what do you think, what were the factors responsible for this up and down? As Farooq mentioned, NAM is one of the factors. Okay, what next? What do you think? What do you think? What were the factors responsible for these up and downs in Indo-US relationship? Though we both were the democratic country, we both were the democratic country, both strive for the progress of the world, but still we do not have a cordial relationship with USA for a long time. What were the factors responsible for? Whatever you are going to say, I am going to write here, and then we are going to check whatever you are going to say, it is exactly there or not. So as Farooq mentioned, first point, okay, NAM is a factor behind that. How, why, and all. We know that we had a special class on the NAM. We already had the video on it. The second, as Farooq said, on nuclear weapon development program. Okay, Kalpesh said WTO. Kalpesh said WTO. Then Rockstar said Indian political system. Whatever you are going to say, I am going to write it. Clear? So WTO, he is mentioning the agri subsidies. Okay. Farooq said mix it. I'm going to write and then I'm going to ask the question to you as well. Farooq said mix economy. Yes, who said nuclear policy? Yes, Farooq said nuclear program as well. Okay. Kashmir issue. Okay. Whatever you are going to say, I'm going to write. Whether it is right or wrong, I'm not telling you right now. Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Still, I'm asking you and you're telling me. Yes, Mohinder said relationship with China. Okay. Yes, is that over? Or anybody wants to say something? Yes, is that over? Yes, Farooq said that arms nuclear program. Okay. Here we are going to mention the arms from USSR. Okay. Yes, shall I explain? Yes, everyone. Shall I explain one by one? Yes, Rockstar said arms deal military exercises. Okay, we mentioned that arms and all in one go. Yes, so those who say that factor responsible for up and down, and we are talking about the background, as we mentioned, that Indo-US relationship was not that much good. Yes, Ashwini said Seto, Sento, and all. Okay, let me explain. Please allow me. As you said, WTO. When WTO is established, don't you think so? WTO is established post 1991. The issue of these agriculture subsidies and all emerged later. Or do you really think so? This issue of subsidy is that much problematic thing that India and USA didn't develop their ties. Yes, everyone. Do you really think so? Agriculture subsidy was a most important issue, and because of that reason, India and USA broke up their ties. Is that so? Is that trade was most important issue because of which that India and USA didn't establish a cordial relationship? Are you sure? Do you really think so? Do you really think so? Such issues are more important, and because of that reason, we do not display the good relationship with USA after independence. So of course not. This is a current issue. Yes, this issue is basically the current issue. So we can do one thing. This is not that much important issue. Yes, of course. In trade, it is important, but it is not that issue because of which we cannot have a cordial relationship. So we delete it. Okay. Next thing. As you mentioned, Indian political system. How can you mention such points? We are discussing international relationship. And in international relationship, political system doesn't matter. Whether you are a prime minister having means you are having parliamentary kind of government or you are having presidentship of government, it doesn't matter. What is matter in relationship? So for that we discuss the first lecture, Indian foreign policy, designing of Indian foreign policy, and at that time we mentioned which are the key areas which decide our foreign policy with the another country. So do you really think so that Indian political system is one of the important aspect of it? Or do you want to say that Indian political system was a corrupt system and because of that it was not a, no, it was not at all the case. Please try to understand it's not a point because of which we did not have a relationship with them. Clear one by one I'm clearing, and it doesn't mean whatever I'm explaining, please remember I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to insult you. I have another method to insult you. It is not the case. I'm just clarifying whatever the misinformation you were having. I'm just going to erase that. And whatever the good information is there, I'm going to support you. What Rudra said, India support China as a sovereign state. Okay. Yes, US being a democracy has a cordial relationship with kingship like Saudi. Yes, political system hardly matter. Yes, exactly. That's the point. Yes. So now you get it. Political system doesn't matter. And yes, whatever these people are giving the example that USA is having cordial relation with Saudi Arabia, they are having kingship. And you know that if you compared with the Western world, how strict their rules and regulation, or we cannot consider they are progressive in nature because of so much restrictions are there. So it doesn't matter. Yes. Okay. Next issue mentioned by you, that is Kashmir. What's the problem between India and US over the Kashmir? What's the problem? If you think so that USA supported the claim of Pakistan over the Kashmir, and because of that, India said we do not want to establish a relationship with you. If it is so, do you remember when India waged a war against the Portuguese for capturing of Goa? Do you know that at that time also the other country, basically USA, UK, supported the claim of Portugal. And why it was so? Because Portugal was the member of NATO at that time. Portugal was a member of NATO, and because of that reason, they supported the claim of Portuguese over the Goa. So, do you really think so that we are having a bitter relationship with Portugal? Of course not. It is the international policies. It doesn't matter if you support, if any country support on any particular issue. It's okay. It's their problem. And do you know one thing? We can change. We can change the view of one country over a particular issue, and it happened, and India is the best example of that. India convinced the world that Kashmir is an integral part of India, and now there are many countries which change their attitude. Clear? It is the case. So we cannot consider it as an issue because of which we had a bad relation or we are having up and down. That issue is also clear. Next thing, as this China issue you mentioned, and because of this China issue, India-US relationship was bad. Really? Really? Do you really think so? As some of you initially mentioned that India supported the, means India recognized the People's Republic of China. Agree. But don't you think so that the same USA in 1970s, because of the ping pong diplomacy, changed their attitude towards China? Don't you think so? This USA only supported the China to get the membership of UNSC by eliminating the Republic of China, that is Taiwan, and supporting the claim of People's Republic of China. Yes, do you remember? And this thing we discussed in the World History lecture. Sorry, these all things we discuss in the World History lectures. As I mentioned, the Chinese Revolution and all. Along with that, we discussed the ping pong diplomacy as well. So, can you say that China was the issue because of that India and USA didn't establish a cordial relationship? Do you really, if you considered present issue, yes, of course, China is the important issue. But if you considered the past, how can you say that? Clear? And do you know one more thing? When China attacked India in 1962, at that time, we were not in a position. Yes, I'm saying whatever I'm saying, it is based on fact that India was not in a position to combat the Chinese aggression. At that time, our Prime Minister wrote a letter to the Prime Minister of UK and the President of United States to get help, and because of that letter only, China retreated unilaterally and US supported India. So do you really think so that we do not have a cordial relationship over the issue of China? No. So please, if present, if you want to say, then China is the issue, but in the background, no. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you? Yes. Next thing, mixed economy. As some of you suggest, I don't know who suggested that, but some of you suggested that mixed economy. What's the big deal to have a mixed economy? Don't you think so? Mixed economy promoted capitalism as well as mixed economy promoted public sector unit as well. So what's the bad in that? Don't you think mixed economy is a policy of a nation state. Means it is a completely authority of sovereign state which type of policy they have to follow, mixed economy, capitalist economy, or communist economy. So what's the problem with USA? USA doesn't have a problem with that. So it's not at all the issue because of which we do not have a coordinated relationship. Clear, everyone? Yes. How smart the people are. Yes, everybody is having. Yes, sir. Clear, clear, clear. Yes. Now, how many things are left? The 3 points you have mentioned. Whatever you mentioned, I erased it. And with the consultation, with your consultation, I erased. Now, NAM. Can we say that NAM is an issue? Yes, of course. Yes, NAM, of course. Why it is so? Because NAM, as you mentioned, and you know this thing, non-alignment movement. It is an ideological platform. It it emphasizes on independent foreign policy. Clear? And because of that reason, we never support any bloc. We never support capitalist. We never support communist. On the basis of merits, on the basis of fact, we always took stand. Whether that country can be considered as a friend, but still, we always have a neutrality. So can we say that? Yes, of course, it is an ideological platform and over which Indian foreign policy based on. And one more thing. This is also an important issue. Yes, this is there. Now, of course. How, why? Just go and watch the video which is based on now. You will get the detailed information of it on this video. Next important thing, nuclear program. Yes, it is one of the reason. Why? Because USA at that time it was a period of Cold War and USA cannot what we can say discriminate or they cannot distinguish, not discriminate, cannot distinguish the communist and democratic socialist. They considered it as the same. And when India started developing a nuclear program, that time USA was worried that India may be the nuclear power and they can misuse that thing. It was a fear among them. So that's why, of course, they were cautious. This nuclear program made USA cautious to develop a relationship with India. Clear? Next, arms trade with USSR. Arms deal. Of course, when India signed arms deal with USSR, now it's a guaranteed thing for USA that they are communist only. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter you are a democratic socialist, you are having democracy. Because it was a period of madness. And US always have a binary thing. You know, binary digital word 0 or 1. 0 or 1. It was the same thing. Means US still follow that binary madness is there. At that time they have only binary choice. Communist, capitalist. If you sign any pact with communist, that means you are communist. It doesn't matter you are having independent foreign policy or not. Yes, because of this fact, USA considered us as a partner of USSR and they kept safe distance from us. Clear? So these are the three things you have mentioned. Now, what are the other factors responsible for these ups and downs we are going to discuss? Farooq, you mentioned in very sophisticated word. USA doesn't use such sophisticated word. My way or highway. USA said that either you are with USA or you are with terrorism. Simple. So, factors responsible for what? Ups and downs in Indo-US relationship. We are discussing the background. First, contrasting views in the foreign policy. How it is there? Yes, first it is there. Contrasting views in foreign policy. As India followed the policy of NAM and US followed the policy of capitalism. Clear? How this contrasting view in the foreign policy responsible for that? As we mentioned here only that NAM is having independent. NAM is having independent foreign policy. On the basis of merits, they are going to support any country or they are going to oppose anything. But USA follow capitalism, and at that time, their foreign policy is designed or based on one aspect only: those who are supporting USSR. That means they all are communist, and those who are not having supporting USSR, that means they are capitalist, and America, what we can say, invested so much amount of money just to maintain their supremacy, as their foreign policy is based on establishment of supremacy of that country. Indian foreign policy doesn't based on that. As you know the basic principle of NAM, and it doesn't mention the superiority of one country over the other. Basically, the NAM is a foreign policy which considered all countries are equal. So the ideological conflict was since beginning, and this ideological conflict found expression in the foreign policy as well. And because of that reason, we do not have a cordial relationship with them for a long. Yes, now you get it? Yes, everyone? Do you get it? Clear? Now is just an example. We have lots of examples how USA supported the claim of Israel and how India supported the claim of Palestine. What were the basis of it? So these are the examples through which we can consider that our foreign policy is based on ideology, and foreign policy of USA at that time was based on one ideology only, that is a victory of capitalism, and USA should be the leader of it. Clear? Good. Next, unequal power capabilities. The word is quoted, power capabilities. This also creates a problem. How? Any guess, any idea? Yes, everyone. Any guess, any idea how unequal power capabilities also creates a problem? Yes, everyone. Do you have any guess how how the power capabilities, unequal power capabilities is having problem? Any guess, everyone? Yes, boys and girls. Any guess? Use your brain. I always say it. Use your common sense, just like a pinch of salt. That's it. It works. Any guess? Any wild guess? It doesn't. I don't want the exact thing. Veto power in UN, Ashwin said. Then, like Kalam Saab said, power, power, respect power. Something is different. Something is different. Just think on it. Because the answer of this question you already gave. It lies in your answer only. Let me explain with very simple thing so that you will get to know unequal power. Here is USA and here is India. Once again, I'm really sorry because I don't have stylus for this lecture, and that's why it creates a very problematic thing for me to write. So please forgive me for the same. USA and India. Don't you think so? USA is having all the military equipments. Don't you think so that USA is self-sufficient in arms and ammunition? Yes, don't you think so? Well, US is having arms and ammunition, self-sufficient in that. And they proved that. First World War, Second World War, USA proved that. They are sufficient in that. What about India? What about India? Do you really think so that India was a self-sufficient in arms and ammunition in 1960s? Of course not. Just go and read about Indo-China War. You will get to know that how the situation was worst. We had a 5 to 6 soldier just to have one rifle. It was our situation. Ideologically, we were strong enough, but strategically, when we considered the defense sector and all, India was not that much powerful. And yes, we suffered defeat in 1962 battle. That's why. That's why. India wants it. India doesn't have military equipment. India was not self-sufficient. So what India wants? India wants arms. India wants arms. So who is going to provide? And for that, India signed a pact with Russia. Yes, India signed pact with Russia, and this create a problematic situation between India and Russia. Sorry, India and USA. Because from this moment onward, they considered that India supported the claim of communism. India supported USSR, and it was a period of madness. It was a fight for supremacy. It was a period of bipolar world. Clear? So when India signed a defense pact with USSR, when India signed the pact to get arms and ammunition, it clearly suggests you for or clarify all the doubts of USA, and USA said that now India is a friend of USSR, so we cannot have a relationship with them. That is another aspect of it. Clear? This unequal power capability is how it creates a problematic situation for India and US relationship. Is that clear to you? Yes, is that clear to you? This point, the second point is clear to all of you. Now the third point. National priorities were different. National priorities were the different. What do you consider the national priority of USA at that time? Yes, what do you consider? What were the priority or priorities for USA at that time? Yes, everyone. Development, economic growth, capitalism. Yes, everyone, boys and girls, I'm asking the question to you. We mentioned, as I mentioned the point, third point, national priorities were different. So what do you think? What were the priority or priorities of USA at that time? Ashwini said capitalism, unspace program, India, food security. Don't you think so that the priority of USA was to establish supremacy over world? Yes, don't you think so? USA wants to establish supremacy over the world. It was their national priority. Yes, everyone. Yes, exactly. USA doesn't want bipolar world. What USA want? USA want unipolar world. USA want to establish their supremacy over the world. Do you really think so? The priority of India or national priority of Indians was the same? Indians wants to be Vishwaguru at that time. Was it possible at that time? No, of course, the priority of Indian as a nation was completely different. What we want? We want economic growth. We want development. We want welfare of our country. And at the same time, we want establishment of peace and private prosperity in all over the world. We do not want any conflict. We do not want any country to invest so much amount of money so that it will create a problem, it will create a conflict over the world. We do not want that. So, very basic thing. Can we say that there will be a bondage between there will be a bondage between one person who is enjoying the lavish lifestyle and one person believes in simplicity of the life. Can you imagine a bond or relationship between these two different entities or these two different people? Can you imagine? Yes, is it possible that one person believes in simplicity? He believes in means what is one phrase is there? Hmm. Think high and live simple life. One person believes in that aspect and other person doesn't have that. It is having bankruptcy, means mental bankruptcy is there, and that person is having living the lavish lifestyle. Is it possible that these two person can establish a cordial relationship with each other? Of course not. Of course not. And we have lots of example of it. We have lots of example of it. Clear? It was the same thing between India and USA at that time. USA wants to be world leader. USA wants to establish the control over the world, but India was not at all. India wants to support each other. India wants the inclusive approach at that time also. Simple living and high thinking. Yes, thank you, Ashwin. Yes, exactly, Rahul. Some, now you get the crux. It's okay. Exactly. So is it possible? No. And it was one of the factor which creates a problem between India and US relationship. Clear? So your points of arms, ammunition, nuclear power, it consists of second part. The third part, our priorities were totally different. And the first part was a contrasting foreign policy, basically means ideology of foreign policy was also different. Clear? So whatever the example you want to mention here, you can. So I gave you the three important aspects of which over these 3 points, India and US relationship was not having cordial relationship. Is that clear to all of you? Any question, any query? Yes, is that clear to all of you? Any question, any query? Yes, everyone, any question, any query, or no question? Clear, everyone? Okay, next thing. So, does it mean that India-US relationship was the worst all over the time? Is that the case? No. We didn't have a cordial relationship. It doesn't mean we do not have we do not have worst relationship. Clear? So basically, India and US relationship was a neutral relationship for a long. Okay, okay. Ashwini asked me one question that unequal power is not understood. Okay, so just give me a few minutes so that I can explain this point to for all of you. This point is unequal power capabilities. This word is also important. Unequal power capabilities. This word is basically for military power. Clear? This word is basically for military power, defense point of view. Clear? What happened at that time, as we mentioned, USA was a strong power, self-sufficient in arms and ammunition and everything. Whether India was a strong power at that time, whether India was self-sufficient in that, of course not. India was not, and the best example we can mention Indo-China War. At that time, India was not having enough arms and ammunition to fight with China. Clear? But after that, India realizes their mistake. They focused on the defense sector. They focused on strengthening our military. And for that reason, what they want? They want arms and ammunition. Who is going to provide them? Do you really think so that third world countries were powerful enough so that they have all the arms and ammunition? Of course not. Third world country was not having that. And you know, USA was not considering India at par with them. USA always have a problem with this word democratic socialism. Clear means our approach. The word socialist was not mentioned in constitution, and they don't have time for that to read. The what's the problem that Indian basically the foreign policy or everything is designed on that aspect. So what's the problem with that? USA doesn't want to support. In USA followed real polity. So they do not find that potential in Indian market. So they didn't interested in that. But USSR was. So USSR supported India and India signed pact with USSR. USSR provided arms and ammunition, and from that moment onward, it was a clear thing for USA that India is supporting USSR. That means India is a partner of USSR. Do you really think so? India was a partner? Of course not. But who is going to explain this thing to USSR? Who is going to explain them? Communism is a different, socialism is different. Because it was a period of madness. So this unequal power capabilities also creates a problem. Why? Because of lack of military power, lack of resources, it forced India to pact with USSR, and this was a problem between India and US relationship because USA considered India is a partner of USSR. Yes, Farooq said our relationship with USA was on the seesaw ride. Yes, exactly. That's why we mentioned up and down. You can use the different word as if you are well versed in the ornamented language, then you can use any word. Is that clear to all of you? Yes, Ashwini, you asked me the question, and is that clear to all of you? Shall I discuss the another segment of this session? Yes, everyone. Is that clear? Still, if you have problem, just explain. Okay, no problem, no question. Good. Now we're going to discuss the another part of it. So as we mentioned, these are the three factors because of which India-US relationship was not good, not cordial. So does it mean India and US relationship was worst? It doesn't mean we are, as I mentioned earlier, India doesn't believe in binary code. Are one of the important member as means we can consider that person as a founding father of Indian philosophy. That person always believe in middle path. Buddha, Buddha said middle path. India doesn't follow the path of extremism, but USA followed that path, binary, one or zero. Whether it was the case, of course not. India-US relationship was not cordial. It doesn't mean our relationship was worst. We had few examples that still, though our relationship was not cordial, but it was not worst as well. We had a relationship with the USA during the time as well. Okay, so how it is so? Very best example has the point is here. The Cold War relationship between Indo-USA was not completely worst. There are few examples of good acts. Yes, as I mentioned, there are few examples of good acts. What exactly? India, India was the largest recipient of US economic aid till 1970. As on one side, as on one side they didn't maintain a good relationship with us, but on other side they are providing economic aid. And why it was so? Because of this aid, India developed lots of projects for economic development. Yes, exactly, you heard it same. Because of economic aid, Indian government schemes were sponsored. Best example of it. Largest, the word is India was the largest recipient of US economic aid till 1950. Don't you think so? It was a good sign that we had a relationship with them. Yes. Next, PL 484 program. What's this PL 484 program? Yes, everyone, boys and girls, what do you think? What is PL 484 program? Yes, come on. Have you ever heard about PL484? If you haven't, then do one thing. Ask your parents what exactly this PL484. Maybe they heard this thing, or maybe they can share some memories with you related to this program. What's that? Farooq said wheat. What wheat? I didn't get you, Farooq. Which US supplied to us. Okay. Anybody is having idea of it? Wheat, wheat. What wheat? Why it was there? Don't you think so? India produced the wheat as well. Why we want wheat? I just want to share one more incident with you today only. One of my relative, he came at my place and he shared his old memories, how the things change and all and all. And that time he mentioned about this only. He mentioned that I still remember that particular health, what that particular period, what we were getting and all, how we used to eat. Only two students out of 12, 13 mentioning what is PL484. What about rest? What? Means it is just like my reaction is like, are you comedy me? Are you really? Are you really serious about your preparation? Or are you kidding? No one is responding. Please, as I mentioned earlier, as people are thinking that you all are going to be bureaucrat, they considered you as a intellectual. So you have to maintain that. Yes, whatever they are thinking, you have to maintain that thing. Otherwise, once they realize you do not have a knowledge, then they are not going to give you respect. And you know that once you lost your respect, it's very difficult to get. See, these boys and girls, definitely you are going to ruin your name as well as mine. That this person is going to teach you this subject. Nobody is going to say, okay, what exactly it is, just find it out. It's your duty. As you don't know it, so please, those who don't know, it's okay. Just find it out. And if you don't get it, please let me know. I'm going to explain exactly what was that program, how it was launched, and how India was the beneficiary of it. Clear? Yes, everyone, can you do this effort? Yes, can you? Or do you really think so that I have to explain it right now? If it is so, then I'm going to explain. I don't have any problem. But I'm expecting, as you're going to be a bureaucrat, I'm expecting that you're going to read this thing. If you don't get it, I'm there. And as I mentioned lots of time, it's my responsibility to answer your question. It's my duty as a senior to answer your queries and questions. Clear? Yes, everyone. So, shall I move on to third point? And I hope you're going to find the answer for PL484 program. Yes or no? Shall I move on? At least reply me. I know it's 10:21, but it is just 10:21 only. Yes, Farooq, that's the spirit. That's the spirit. Yes. And if you don't know, don't worry, I'm there. I'm there to explain it. Next thing, the third best example that several American foundations work in India for India's development. For India's development. Any example of it? Foundation, you know there are many foundations. Foundation means basically recently you heard about CSR, that is corporate social responsibility. Nowadays this trend means as the government of India made the act pre 2014 only. So this corporate social responsibility supported the programs, developmental programs, institutions, hospitals or anything. So such kind of institutions were present in USA at that time, and these foundations provided the financial help to Indian institutions or a company or anything means anywhere they can. So do you have any example of it? Do you have any example that this American foundation helped? And why I asked this question, it was not just to check your knowledge. It is having some significance with the current affairs as well. Because one foundation, the name of that foundation I'm going to tell you later, but the name of that foundation comes into controversy and some issues erased over that. Sorry, erased over that. Yes, do you have any example, any knowledge about it? If you don't have, ask me. I'm going to explain. Don't worry. And I'm going to tell you the issue as well because this is related to IR in past and this is related to IR in present when we are going to discuss the present relationship with the foreign countries, and at that time this point is also going to be issue while having discussion, bilateral discussion. Kalpesh said American India Foundation. Okay. Go on. Go on, go on, go on. Fast. Be fast. Why you're taking so much time? Farooq said Amnesty International. Okay. Yes, recently they have a problem with the Amnesty International. Government is having. Exactly. You heard the same thing. Amnesty International. Any other organization or any other foundation which is very famous, very, very famous and old as well. Have you heard about the Ford Foundation? Yes, have you heard about Ford Foundation? Anywhere? Do you know that such kind of foundation is there? This foundation supported many Indian education institutes, many scientific research development were funded by this. Yes, Kalpesh never heard about it. Okay, so it's your duty that just go and read about Ford Foundation as well. In current affairs news, do not go on Wikipedia. You will get more information, lots of information there. For in the current affairs, you will get to know that Ford Foundation, what's the role of that Ford Foundation in building Indian nation state, and why recently government raised the issues, question, and finally they stopped these foreign foundations to support Indian companies or NGOs or any institution. Why exactly? What's the issue? Yes, so today you have two work at present. Maybe one more work is going to add. First, you have to find PL484 program, what it is, when it was launched, what's the benefit of it, clear? Second, what I mentioned that these are the example we had a cordial relation with them, that is Foundation Help India for their development, and I mentioned the example of Ford Foundation. So I mentioned recently government restricted them to help Indian companies or NGOs. Why it was so? Why they established such what we can say restriction over them? What's the problem between Amnesty International and Government of India? So it's your duty because this topic is important in current affairs. So you have to read. Are you going to read? Yes, everybody. Are you going to read it? Or shall I mention why India or Indian government is having concern? What kind of question they raised? Yes, everyone. Yes, what do you think? Can you expect the answer from me or are you going to find out your by own? You ask me the question that whether Abhijit Banerjee is related with the Ford Foundation. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. Just go and read it. If you don't know, please ask me. I'm going to tell you why government of India right now is having the problem with these foundations. And it is better, it is always better to read such topics by your own. Clear? Yes or no? Are you going to read by your own? Say something, either yes or no, so that I will get the idea. Okay, as one person is ready, what about the rest 12, 13, 14 people? Are they ready? Yes, everyone. Kalpesh said, I will find out. And one more thing, if you don't find out, if you didn't get exact answer, I'm there. Yes, exactly. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your response. And your response suggests you of that you are not slept yet. You all are awake. Good. Now the next thing, that is change in Indo-US relationship, and of course it happened after post Cold War. How the relationship with USA changed after post Cold War? The first thing is that is fall of USSR. The fall of USSR post India, as the word force India to find strong partner to fill the vacuum of USSR, because USSR was not just a defense partner, means USSR, here is the word, sorry. USSR was not just a supplier of arms and ammunition to India. What was the position of USSR? USSR was basically the friend of India. They supported India over many issues and many times they uses their veto if any resolution is against India, and if USSR find out it as illegal or anything, then USSR uses their veto. So such kind of powerful friend we required in international relation now, that is after fall of USSR. Who is going to find means who is going to fulfill that vacuum? Because India USSR relation is consist of defense, it consists of economic, it consists of cultural ties. Clear? Who is going to find? Only option was there, and that is we want to find a strong partner, and USA was the only option at that time. Clear? So how India US relationship changed during the post Cold War time? It is the first factor. Second, USA also wants a strong ally in Asia. Always remember, in bilateral relation, if you really want to develop a good relation with any country, then what is the most important criteria? The most important criteria is that both countries should have vested interest in each other. If one country is having vested interest and another is not, then you cannot consider it as a bilateral relationship. So it was the case with USA. And why USA wants strong ally? Because of this reason, China factor. That's why they want a strong ally in Asia. Now, after post-Cold War, USA became unipolar world, but at the same time, rise of China is also significant in that. The threat from USSR ended, but the new threat emerged, and that is in the form of China factor. And who is going to tackle China? So for that reason, they want ally in Asia. Can you imagine Pakistan is going to tackle China? Yes, can you imagine that US is going to support Pakistan and they said, okay, do one thing, just tackle China. Is it possible? Of course not, because Pakistan is not democracy. Whatever they were having during that time, you know it in detail. So they cannot rely on Pakistan. And first thing, the second thing, size. Look at the size of Pakistan. It is not, they cannot match with China. China is emerged as a strong power. So it is not possible for Pakistan to deal. So who is going to tackle? Of course, India. India is a rising power of that time. So that's why it is a mutual benefit for USA as well as India. So that's why during the post-Cold War, our relationship with USA changed. So first thing for India, we mentioned that we want to fulfill the political vacuum, and it was USA. So India developed a relationship. Second thing, it was in vested interest of USA. US want to tackle China, and for that they want a strong ally in Asia. So that is the thing. And third, this China factor we are going to discuss in detail. Clear? This China factor we are going to discuss in detail. Is that clear? Yes, is that clear to all of you? Farooq said that it's only their monkey dreams. I don't know monkey or anything, but it is their distance dream. Clear? Now, next thing, India US area of common interest. As we mentioned, if anybody wants to develop a bilateral relation, there should be some vested interest. There should have some common interest. Without that, you're not going to established a strong relationship, and it happened. The best example, the first factor, as I mentioned, rise of China. So what's the problem in rise of China? Yes, what do you think? What's the problem in rise of China? It's okay, one country is developing. Why we are jealous of it? Yes, why USA is jealous of it? Whether we jealous of USA that you develop lot, and what about us? You're not going to think we are friends. Is that the case? Then why USA is having problem with China? Why India is having problem with China? Why does China? Why does China issue became a mutual, or what we can say, means as an important issue to build a cordial relationship with USA? Yes, what's the problem with the rise of China? Very simple. First thing, for USA, that is China is challenging USA. How? In terms of all the aspects. In terms of all the aspects means in terms of economy, in terms of military, all the aspects. Farooq says supply chain shift from USA to China and world depends on China increasing. Moreover, it is a rise of communist ideology. Farooq, for your kind information, as you mentioned, China is a communist country. Right now, they are just, for the namesake, they are communist. They are altogether different. Their economy is not at all considered as a part of communist economy. They already followed the open kind of economy and all. Clear? Yes, first point is very clear. As China is producing each and every item, and Chinese products are having huge demand all over the world. So of course that's why we mentioned China is challenging USA in all the aspect. Either the economic term is there, either the military terms is there, yes, or the culture or anything. So basically it is challenge to the US hegemony. It's challenge to US hegemony. So that's why US is very cautious about it. You know, very best example, the South China Sea conflict between USA and South China Sea conflict between USA and USSR. It's sorry, USA and China. It's very best example of establishment of supremacy. Yes, China wants to establish control over South China Sea, and USA also wants the control over it. It is the best example of that. Clear? That is the factor for USA. Farooq said recently China said it is going to be self-sufficient. Can you Are you saying Atmanirbhar and need not to be dependent on import? They can be self-sufficient, but their economy is export-driven economy. It is not the case that people or the countries are not going to afford their own indigenous products. They can produce that. They are not going to be dependent on China. Pre-rise of China, countries are going to produce their own products. So it was not the big deal then, and it is not the big deal right now. So if Chinese are not going to import things in their country, definitely other countries are going to adopt the same option. And if it happened, and you know the rule of economic, it is demand and supply. If there is a fall in the demand, there is a fall in supply, and you know what will going to happen with their economy. Clear? So whatever it may be. So why rise of China is a matter of concern for USA? Because China is challenging the authority of USA as a supreme power. China wants to grab that position. That's a problem for USA. Just clear? That is the problem. And why it is having problem with India? Why India is having problem with China? What's the problem? Aggression. The territorial aggression of China is a problematic thing for India, as China said that Kashmir is their part. China said that Arunachal Pradesh is their part. So such kind of aggression is there. Doklam issue, you know. So such kind of recent issues between India and China is erased, and you know that China-Pakistan economic corridor. So such kind of string of pearls, BRI, Belt and Road Initiative. So these are the best example that China is adopting aggressive policy and they want to encircle India. They want to pressurize India. They want economic blockade of India in future. So such type of aggressive policy followed by China is a problematic thing for India. So that's why US wants to continue their supremacy. At the same time, India wants to protect their territory. India wants to protect their all types of independence from the Chinese aggression. That's why these two are having mutual interest. And who is responsible? China. So that's why they made a pact with each other. Pact means agreement and all are there, but a cordial relation. So China is one of the factors. Clear? This point is clear. That is China factor is clear to all of you. Okay. Next, the second important factor that US is strong economic and military power. Of course, US is strong economic and military power and US want to sell their product. Of course, if you are going to produce, don't you think so you are going to sell that product? Yes, you have to sell that product. But where you are going to sell? China is there. Before you sell your product, China already sold their product. China captured Asian countries, China captured African countries, and of course USA and Latin American countries don't have a cordial relationship. Now you get it why I asked this question to you when we started the lecture. So where USA is going to sell their product? Africa is captured by China. Latin America, they do not have a cordial relationship. Then where they are going to sell? Asia is also captured by China. The only most important country is left in Asia which is not controlled by China somehow. That is India, and India wants the arms and ammunition. India wants to build a strong economy and US is already having that. So basically US is a producer, India is a consumer for them. Clear? So India is the best market for them. So that's why this is the second point, which is a mutual relationship between or common point between India and US relationship. The third point, both are democracies. Yes, we can say both are democracies and wants to establish peace and stability in the world. That is also common point. That is India wants to establish peace and stability in the world. US wants to, but their way is different, of course. That is also common interest. The same vision you are having. So it is better to have a relationship with each other. So that's the case. India and US democracy and wants to establish peace and stability in the world. So they are not going to support the wars and all. That's why. Better. Third, to counter terrorism is also important aspect. As India is a victim of terrorism, at the same time, US also had experience of terrorism. So India and US both want to end the terrorism, so that's why they developed that thing. Now you get it. So we mentioned 4 points. There are many points in that. So how US and India are having areas of common interest we mentioned. Next thing, areas of common interest. Next point, we're going to continue. That US is a major source of FDI. US is the major source of foreign direct investment, and you know what? India wants it. India doesn't have that much resources. They want it, and India is a market for it. Means they have money. We have market. We're going to say just come invest, and that's why many US companies invested in India. One very best example was, as I mentioned, was General Motors, Chevrolet. The Chevrolet is the best example of that of General Motors. It is an FDI. Along with that, Harley Davidson. Clear? So such kind of US is a major source of FDI and India is the largest market. So it is for both. The mutual interest is there. Second, loss of Latin America and Africa. Already explained this point. Loss of Latin America and Africa forces US to find a good partner in Asia. Yes, Farooq, exactly. This point we already explained. Loss of Latin America and Africa forces US to find good partner in Asia, and India is the only option for them. Next, why it is more important for India. India seeks to reform in global institutions. Like India wants reforms in IMF, India wants reforms in UNSC, India wants reforms in WTO, India wants reforms in World Bank. So in United Nations Security Council, what India wants? India wants the veto power. India wants to be member of permanent, means India wants permanent seat in UNSC. And for that, what India wants? India wants support of the powerful country, and US is only powerful country which can convince right now. US is the only country which can convince the other powers to support the claim of India. And very best example, Indo-US nuclear, civil nuclear deal. At that time, there were many countries which opposes the India's claim. They opposes to give waiver to India in NPT, but US was the country which convinced the other countries, and because of that reason India gets the waiver from signing NPT. Yes, exactly Farooq. Now you are getting the point. Good. Clear? So this point is clear to all of you. This is an important factor. That's why India wants support, and without support of USA it's not possible. Next, that Indian diaspora. Indian diaspora is also important. What is diaspora? Don't worry, I'm going to explain in separate lecture what is diaspora, how, where is Indian diaspora and all. We are going to explain. For just in common word, I just want to tell you that diaspora means the people of Indian origin staying in that particular country is considered as a diaspora. A very common definition I just mentioned. People of Indian origin settled in any particular area in the world is known as diaspora. It's Indian diaspora. So this basically, these people are staying there. They also help to establish a good relationship between these two countries. Why? because nowadays they are going to be a member of legislation, and very best example at present. Yes, any good example? Yes, you mentioned NRI, yes, PIO, OCI, NRI. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I'm going to explain in simple word. Don't worry. In the diaspora lecture, I'm mentioning any good example of a person. As I mentioned, this Indian diaspora is helping to build a good relationship between India and USA. Do you have any? Yes. What a brilliant students are there. Kamala Harris. Exactly. She is the Vice President of USA. Indian origin. Yes. Tulsi Gabbard. Yes. Nikki Haley. There are many. Don't you think so that they people are also saying that these are foreigners? Why you are going to give them position of Vice President? I'm really surprised. Why these people are so liberal? Why they are allowing? We do not allow. We consider people are foreigners. Now, issues with USA, as we mentioned, there are area of common interest, but there are areas which with which India is having problem with USA. One very best example, that is Pakistan. That is India, of course, India and Pakistan are enemy country. And why it is an issue between India-US relationship? A very best example, that is, since independence of India and Pakistan, US has supported Pakistan. And we have lots of examples that Pakistan is supporting terrorism, either directly or indirectly. They are supporting terrorism. And most of the time, USA didn't follow or didn't take any strict action against the Pakistan. Most of the time, USA followed a mild approach towards the Pakistan, and that is the issue of concern between India and USA. India said, "Why you are doing so?" On one side, on one side, you're going to tell us that we are friends, and other side you're going to help the enemies. Why? That is the one issue. The second issue between India and USA, that is US tendency of labeling any country as a rock state. As I mentioned earlier, the binary code between them. Either you are with USA or you are with terrorism. A very best example of this rock state, they mentioned the example of Iran. They mentioned Iran as a rock state. They mentioned North Korea as a rock state. But do you know that India have a problem with that? India never follows such attitude. India never said that you are a rock state and all, just based on assumption. You know that when America invaded Afghanistan, when America invaded Iraq, what they said? They said that they are having weapons of mass destruction. They are pursuing the policy of nuclear weapon and all. So such kind of madness was there. But when they destroyed everything, what they found? Nothing. So India is against this approach. India said that no, there should not be that case. You know that when US and Iran relationship was worst, but at the same time, India and Iran relationship was not that bad. It was good only. Okay, so India is having problem with that. For them, Iran Revolution Guard is terrorist organization. Okay, so basically their idea is very good. USA, either with USA or with terrorism. India is not supporting that claim. So that is the problem between India and USA. Third, US doctrine of responsibility to protect the humanitarian intervention means basically in the name of protection of democracy, in the name of protection of human, or humanity, they attack any country. Best example, Afghanistan, Iraq, even they intervene in Syria also. What happened? They all ruined. Without solving the problem, USA left Afghanistan. And you know, recently, yesterday only, that Talibanis and Afghani government they signed the pact with each other. So it is all about the madness. Means if you really want to help any country, then you have to be there. Without establishment of peace, without establishment of democracy, why you're leaving that country? So India doesn't like that approach. Do you really think so that India intervene in such a matter? Only option, only exception is that India wants to resolve the problem between LTTE and government of Sri Lanka, and that's why Indian peacekeeping force were there in Sri Lanka. But it was a disaster thing for us, and we left that. We, what we can say, call back our army from that area. It was the only, but in general, India doesn't follow such a policy. In the name of humanitarian protection, we're going to attack. India never pursued the policy of aggression, attack over the country. But America is having that thing. So that is the problem between India and USA. Fourth, US unilateralism is also a problematic thing for India. As you know that USA wants to establish supremacy and USA still want to continue the unipolar world. But what about India? What about India? India is supporting multipolar world. BRICS is the best example of that. IPSA is the best example of that. BIMSTEC is the best example of that. Yes, SCO is the best example of that. So what India want? India want multipolar world and USA still want the unipolar world. USA still want to be supreme country in the world. That is also the problem or issue with USA. And the next thing, that is India-US Defense Strategic Cooperation. India-USA Defense and Strategic Cooperation. The word is cooperation. Means we have to cooperate with each other, but it is not the case. The word is cooperation, but it is a one-way approach that US are selling their products to India, basically related to the defense, without transferring technology. Yes, without sharing information. So such kind of issues were there between that. They said that it's okay, we can sign the pact, but there should be technology transfer as well. But US said no, it is not the case. So such type of issues are there between India and US. Is that clear to you? Yes, everyone. Is that clear to you? Yes, boys and girls. Is that clear to you? Any question? Any query? Okay. So the next portion of this Indo-US relationship, we are going to continue in special class. Yes, we are going to conduct the lecture on app. Okay. So India-US relationship part 2. There we are going to discuss the trade. We are going to discuss the civil nuclear pact between India-USA. Along with that, the present situation between India-USA. All the aspects we are going to discuss in the part 2. So that's all for today's lecture. Thank you very much for your valuable time. And those who want to connect with me or those who wants the update of this, then this is my Telegram channel, Unacademy underscore Harshvardhan. You will get the information of when, where is lecture, and as I mentioned earlier also, we are running the two series of lecture, that is of world history as well as of international relation. Please do watch those who missed the lecture. The lectures are online available on Unacademy, UPSC CSE English on app as well as on YouTube channel. And yes, one more thing, one more request. Those who want to take the subscription, please use my code. Harshv10 is my code. You will get discount. And one more last question, that if you do not contact me, maybe somehow on this Telegram channel, then all other social media platforms are open. You can contact with me them there. And it's my duty, as I mentioned this time again, it's my duty to answer your question as a senior. So please ask me the question. Okay. And yes, the last but not the least, if you really like this lecture, then please like on this video. Along with that, share this information with your friends. And if you really liked it, if and only if you really like it, then you can follow me on Unacademy app and you can dedicate your hearts to me. Yes, so thank you very much once again. Good night.